Hello and welcome to the ADHD with Jenna podcast. Our first episode last week explained the philosophy. If you did not listen to that, I do recommend you go check it out because it does give you the foundation for what we're talking about here, and then you can really hit the ground running with these episodes and with this approach. So, as a short little recap, my approach to coping well with ADHD and living well with ADHD is to understand that we are dealing with ADHD and a brain difference, but we are also in fight or flight. And the being in fight or flight is causing more problems than the ADHD itself. But the great news is we can do something about that. We can get regulated. We can get out of fight or flight or dysregulation. I use those terms interchangeably. And we can find a much more enjoyable way to live with ADHD. You'll be more productive and it's more fun. This work is really win-win with no negative side effects, and that's why I love it so much. So today we're going to be talking about nervous system regulation, some nuances around how you may have been tackling that before if you've known about it and been working on it, or if you have never focused on nervous system regulation as a part of your coping with ADHD. What is it and how do we do it? So at the end of this episode, I am going to have some action steps you can take to begin the process of regulation as well. So stay tuned for that. So nervous system regulation, the way we typically deal with it, or the way we think about it, is yoga, journaling, meditation. It tends to be regulation tasks. This can be things like exercise. There's many tasks we can add into our day. There are many things we can put on the to-do list that will help regulate, and that's not untrue. Those things are helpful. But it is not enough. And to me, that should be the icing on the cake, not the core of what we're working on. So a definition of nervous system regulation, just to read it to you, it refers to the body's ability to flexibly move between different states of arousal in response to stressors, adapting to changes in the environment without becoming overwhelmed. So when we are dysregulated, our system is in kind of that overwhelm and not aligning with our current environment. So when we are dysregulated, our nervous system thinks like, oh my God, I'm in imminent life-threatening danger and I'm about to get eaten by a bear. That's a really good analogy. But the reality might be, I just have a lot on my to-do list. So that discrepancy of my system being overwhelmed and in really intense arousal or defensiveness, it doesn't accurately connect with the reality that it's a long to-do list or it's replying to emails. Those things are not life-threatening, but our system is acting as if it is life-threatening. Being in fight or flight does have its place. So being dysregulated in fight or flight, again, those are kind of the same thing. But being in fight or flight does have its role, right? If you are in imminent life-threatening danger, meaning it's in front of you and you need to protect yourself so you do not get very harmed or die, we want your nervous system and your body to be triggered into that state, into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? If that's going to help you survive, it's valuable and it's helpful. The problem with us ADHDers being in chronic fight or flight is in any situation where we aren't in imminent life-threatening danger, being in fight or flight or dysregulated is going to only hurt us. It doesn't help. It has the blood flow leave the prefrontal cortex, that part of the brain responsible for logical thinking, planning, prioritizing, thoughtfulness, mindfulness, and we are in a state where we're not going to function very well. This is why we want to practice nervous system regulation and overall regulation, kind of finding that balance, realizing, oh, I'm safe. Right? My nervous system doesn't need to be reacting as if I'm getting chased by a bear when I have emails to write. It's just not going to be helpful. But I digress. Nervous system regulation is important. But if that's a task on your to-do list, it's not going to make the impact you're hoping. The type of nervous system regulation we do here at ADHD with Jenna with the ADHD Reset is in the moment nervous system regulation. Meaning we need to identify as we go through our day, as we live our normal life, when I am dysregulated, and then when I notice it in the present moment, can I interrupt that and get my system back into regulation? So it's more of an awareness And working on a state of being is not a task on the to-do list. If the way you are approaching nervous system regulation can be checked off a to-do list, it's not quite what we're going for. Again, it can be helpful, icing on the cake, but it's not going to change your state of being. And we really want to work on your system, realizing, oh, whether I'm in the car with my kids, at work, laying in bed, I'm safe and I'm okay. And my system can relax. It's not going to do that if you only ever regulate in yoga class or when you're meditating. The reason for this is because if you're at work and say on your lunch break you go to yoga, yeah, that's great. Good for you. But we are training our system. Hey, it's really tense and stressful and scary and dangerous at work. Oh my gosh, I'm dysregulated. And at yoga, that's where I can relax. That's my safe space. Okay, well, how often are you in the yoga studio? Probably not very often, maybe 3-4 hours a week. What about the other 23 hours a day? We want to train your body that it is safe to relax in all these environments so that you can live a life that is more regulated and less exhausting. So today we are going to be talking about how do we practice in the moment nervous system regulation, because that's very important. But before we get to that, I do want to explain a little bit about the ADHD Reset. That is the approach that I take with people and the approach that I use on myself. Because when I talk about regulation, it's kind of just like a summarizing word for the ADHD Reset in this approach. We're resetting to our kind of factory settings, if you will. We have been triggered into a state of fight or flight. We want to reset our nervous system, reset our subconscious and our mind and our body and everything to realize, I'm okay, and now I can rebuild from here. In order to reset, yes, nervous system regulation is going to be a part of that, and we'll talk about that in the moment nervous system regulation today. But we also want to work on thought regulation, being aware of our beliefs and our thoughts and our thinking that is dysregulating. That can include dysregulating beliefs and thoughts, but it also can include all or nothing thinking, which is a very rigid and dysregulated way to think. But we tend to think like that when we are dysregulated. You've probably experienced that too. We want to deal with the avoidance and urgency cycles. These are dysregulated cycles we get stuck in. You may think of them as procrastination and impulsivity, but these are really rooted in dysregulation. And then we also want things like boundaries and things that set us up to make our life easier, to ease the people-pleasing fawn side of us. So there's a lot of different elements we need to consider when regulating, and it's not just nervous system regulation. Because I think sometimes when I talk about this stuff, people are like, well, that's really easy. That's so simple. That can't possibly be enough to change this intense level of suffering I'm experiencing. So just know that it starts with nervous system regulation, but there's a lot more things for us to consider. And the reason this is because say you do regulate your nervous system. So your physical body, the nerves in your body, all these signals going, oh my God, we're in danger. Relax in your body. Okay, I'm regulated. And then you have the thought, I'm behind, I need to catch up. That's going to trigger you right back into that dysregulation. So that's why we need to kind of come at both from our thinking and our body, that body-mind connection, and getting everything in alignment with, oh, I am safe. It is okay to be present and be here and do one thing at a time. And there's no rush. If you're watching the video of this, you see my little signs up here. There's no rush. And this one says, I can only do one thing at a time. These are my mantras for myself and for my clients, because this is how we live a regulated life. And so in order to do that, we need to work on our thinking as well. All right, let's dive into nervous system regulation and how do we practice it in the moment. The first step is going to be identifying dysregulation. And you might know you're dysregulated generally. You may feel that anxiety and that stress, and you just think, oh, I'm dysregulated, especially as you learn more about this in this language. But we need to get more granular, more specific. What does dysregulation feel like for you specifically? And how can you identify it in yourself so that in the moment, you know, I am dysregulated right now. And now I can practice my in the moment regulation. We need to bring that awareness to the surface first. And from this episode, this might be the first thing you take away is the idea of, oh, my awareness of dysregulation and how does that affect me and what does that feel like? Many people in my ADHD groups, they'll come back at session 2 and be like, oh, so like I'm dysregulated all the time. And I'm like, yep, that tracks. That's how it works, right? Our system is just flat out chronically in fight or flight. Doesn't matter if you're at work or on the beach, we can't relax. So we need to bring that awareness to the surface. Okay, so how do we do that? Step 1 is identifying dysregulation. What can that look like? I'm going to list some bodily signs, some mental signs, some other signs. If I were you, I would just pluck out 1 to 3 max to be kind of your like map of these are the things I'm feeling out for and looking out for to know when I'm dysregulated. Body signs. Really, any physical signs of anxiety are going to be signs of dysregulation. So that might be your stomach in knots, nausea, your heart racing, feeling flush, tense muscles. A lot of us can have like TMJ and trap tightness. I know for me, that's a big one. Physically rushing. Like, oh my God, I gotta go. Let's go. Talking exceptionally fast. I know a lot of us can be fast talkers, but that point when we're tripping over our words, those are all physical signs of dysregulation. Mental signs of dysregulation would be ruminating, overwhelm, and that can tip into paralysis, not being present, not being able to stay present. You know, when you're trying to read a book and you've read the same paragraph like 5 times, but you're not absorbing it because you're thinking about something else, that would be an example of that. Negative self-talk and masking or overcompensating. The reason these are signs of dysregulation is not because, you know, that's just how our brain works, but that is because those are all defense mechanisms, right? When we are feeling unsafe, our brain's going to ruminate on something to try to keep us safe. Typically, right? It's not something that's truly dangerous, which is why this isn't working for us. But our brain will think about something over and over and over and over and over and over and over again to try to like crack the code and keep us safe. Or overwhelm. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm perceiving it all and I have to do it all and I have to do it all now. And there's this like perception of it all being urgent and it all needing to do it now. And that is a defense mechanism, right? I feel unsafe of letting myself let go of anything or doing it later. And also this perception of, you know, I call it like the brick wall, like everything is looming right in front of me is a dysregulated perception that can change the more we get regulated. Negative self-talk, right? We use that, the brain uses that to try to keep us safe. I know it seems like annoying and my brain is against me, but it is trying to motivate you and keep you safe. Since we are in fight or flight, we use the motivators of fear, shame, guilt, and urgency. And so negative self-talk is like us creating the bear, right? Us pushing ourselves into guilt, shame, and fear to motivate. But we know that doesn't work. We know it's a horrible experience. So that is a sign of dysregulation. And then masking or overcompensating. Of course, masking to some degree is quote unquote normal in our society, like professionalism, right? That would be a slight form of masking. But I would really look at the masking for yourself, meaning I am covering up my authenticity. I'm kind of performing a little bit. I'm hiding my neurodiversity or my authenticity, as I said, in order to keep myself safe. So you can also think of that as overcompensating. It might be overcompensating with your energy. That can happen to me like socially. I'm very like, hi, how are you? And oh God, like I'm overcompensating. I'm safe to just, hi, how's it going? Like I don't need to be so on, but that's a protection mechanism. So again, some of it's quote unquote normal and not hurting us. That's where we can kind of have a bit of nuance. Like I show up differently on this podcast. I show up differently in my ADHD groups than I would out with my friends. right? But it doesn't really hurt me. It doesn't exert so much energy that it's taxing, but we can overcompensate or mask to an extent where it's hurting me or it's hurting you. So I've had a client who had a contract for an 8-hour-a-day job, and they were working 10 hours a day because they were overcompensating. They were feeling like they weren't getting enough done. Of course, no one had said that, but they took it on themselves to think, oh, I'm not performing how I should be. I'm feeling afraid, so I'm going to work 2 hours extra a day and not get paid for it, not tell anybody I'm working it. That would be an example of overcompensating where, okay, that's a sign of dysregulation and feeling unsafe. Other kind of more external signs of internal dysregulation can be scrolling, spending, substance use, things like skin picking, nail biting. Those are things that are soothing dysregulation. It doesn't regulate us, right? It's not a productive tool, but it does give us some short-term comfort when we are dysregulated. So if it's feeling compulsive is really where you want to look out for it, that could be a sign. For example, you're trying to work, but you keep like somehow finding yourself on TikTok. You're scrolling. That is a sign of dysregulation. You might be thinking, okay, I don't want to buy any more stuff. I want to stick to my budget, and you can't not buy things. That would be a sign of, oh, I'm doing this to feel better. I am using this external thing to regulate. And that's, it tends to backfire and doesn't work. Building our internal regulation skills so we don't need to do those things is really what we're going for. Some self-care signs or lack of self-care signs can be not going pee when you need to. So I think a lot of people, I see some posts online of like, oh, ha ha ha, I have ADHD and I even procrastinate going to the bathroom. That's not what's happening. That is dysregulation. It's not like just the way we are. It's an element of like, oh my gosh, I can't interrupt what I'm doing. I have to finish this thing. There's a fear-based thing going on. When you're more regulated, we're much more able to just, go to the bathroom when you have to go to the bathroom. Not eating all day would be another sign. I know that's a bit tricky because we can also have meds that affect our appetite, but that is a sign of dysregulation. Or not prioritizing your comfort, like, oh, I'm freezing cold and I could go get a sweater, but I'm just going to stay here and finish this before I can go get it. That is a sign of dysregulation. So this part of this work is super important. So I want you to spend some time with it and not discount the awareness part. What we are not aware of, we cannot work on. So pick 1 to 3 signs that are your kind of little package you're looking out for. For me, historically, that would have been physically rushing, kind of like stomach in knots, and overwhelm. Those were my big telltale signs that I was in dysregulation. Like I remember in university, I was running everywhere. And I think that's so funny at this point because it's like, oh, I was like literally running around like a chicken with my head cut off because I was in fight or flight. And I think as ADHDers, we think, oh, I'm just impatient. I can't wait till someone finished their sentence. I can't watch TikTok not on 2x. I can't, walk anywhere. That is dysregulation. That is not inherent to you. Yes, we kind of lean more that way, but it is because we are more susceptible to being in fight or flight. When you are regulated, you can be a lot more patient and a lot less rushed. So that awareness is going to be big because right now you may have found, or you've been kind of classifying those signs as, oh, that's just ADHD. That's just how I am. No, that is your beautiful ADHD brain being in fight or flight. That's what that is. We want to start going, that's fight or flight, right? This work is really about putting those dysregulation goggles on and seeing your experience and your life and your symptoms through the lens of dysregulation. That's going to give us a lot more to work with. If you're wanting to see these all written down, definitely grab my free ADHD regulation guide. I'm kind of going through that right now as I talk about this. And so it's just a physical guide where you can identify dysregulation and start interrupting it with in-the-moment regulation tools. So that is a great resource to add on to this podcast because now I'm walking you through it and you can see it visually in a PDF. kind of give you more of that understanding of it. All right. You may spend a good chunk of time just sitting with this awareness of dysregulation because that's a lot for the brain to shift to, right? Because before you may have seen all of those symptoms and all that stuff I'm talking about as ADHD. Well, now we're considering, oh, maybe that's actually dysregulation. That is not just ADHD. That alone, that shift in perspective alone, might take some time for your brain to wrap around. So allow yourself to take it slow. And that might just be noticing your dysregulation at first. So where do we go from here? Once you have a good grasp of how dysregulation is affecting you and being aware of it in the moment, then we can start practicing interrupting it. So it's this state of being that's very chronic, right? It's very consistent. And what we want to do is knock our system off of being in that state. And it might be very short-lived, right? So say you're physically rushing and you're running down the hall to get to a meeting. The way we would interrupt that is through some very, very simple tools, and they're simple for a reason, because you want to be able to do it just in the moment without having to think too hard about it. And that is a deep breath, relaxing your muscles, and physically slowing down. Physical interruption of that state of dysregulation. So you're running to get to work, or you're running to get to the meeting down the hall. Oh, I'm dysregulated. First of all, you might be even holding your breath. So it's like, take a deep breath, drop those shoulders, and I'm going to walk the rest of the way. And by the time you're at the end of that hall, you might be running again. That is fine. You're not going to interrupt that dysregulation and be regulated for the rest of the day. Absolutely not. Your system is primed to return to that fight or flight state and those fight or flight symptoms. What we want to do is just when we are aware of it, interrupt it. And then the mental part is being present with what's in front of you. So if your dysregulation is more of that stuck deer in the headlights mental dysregulation, maybe your rushing is more in your head, right? Thinking, going through a million options in a minute, but you're just sitting down on the couch. That, of course, is a little bit more challenging because the physical rushing, right, is a little bit easier to interrupt because it's more tangible. But the mental dysregulation or rushing, it's the same approach. So even if you're just sitting on the couch, we still want to identify it. Take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and you might want to slow down your thinking. One way to do that is to talk out loud if you have the opportunity. So it might be, okay, I'm thinking a lot at once. What's happening in front of me? Well, the reality is I'm sitting on the couch and I'm thinking about what I could get up and go do. That alone, even if it doesn't change your behavior, even if it doesn't solve the problem of being on the couch right now, that is changing your state of being from this, oh my God, tense fight or flight state sitting on the couch to, okay, I'm safe. My system is safe. And the reason we need to interrupt it physically is because you can't talk to your nervous system. You can't talk to it and go, hey, dude, we're safe. Relax. No, we want to relax physically so that your system can feel that difference. Oh, there must not be a bear about to eat me because I just took a deep breath. I relaxed those shoulders and I physically slowed down or mentally slowed my thoughts down. And I know right now you might be like, but that's just how it is. That's how my brain is. Because you're in fight or flight, you really want to start seeing it as, oh, perhaps there is a different way to be when this layer of fight or flight isn't layered on top of my brain. Because it's going to make a big difference. And then coming back to the present. So if your brain is ruminating about something, like, oh my gosh, that meeting this afternoon, what am I going to do? How's it going to go? The brain won't let go of it. How you regulate that is, okay, come back to the present. What am I doing right now? Right now, I'm writing this email. And again, talking aloud is a great way to come to the present. And so you might be writing the email going, hi, Susan, how are you today? And we're returning to what we're doing mentally and physically. Again, might last 20 seconds. That is worth your time. It is worth the work of slowing down. The initial effort of thinking about this, yes, is effort, but the experience of being regulated, slowing down, and taking the deep breath is nicer than remaining in that frantic, tense state. So I think sometimes people think like, oh my gosh, that's daunting. That's a lot of work. It's actually a lot more pleasurable though. Because the more you do it, it's like working out. The more you do this is like doing reps at the gym. The more I interrupt myself, the more I regulate in the moment, the stronger my regulation gets. And soon you will notice where, wow, I was actually kind of relaxed in that situation where normally I wouldn't be. Or I'm naturally walking a little bit instead of rushing everywhere. Or, my brain's naturally interrupting its frantic state more often. But we've got to get stronger and stronger at it. So it does take that repetition. So as you move forward this week, I really want you just to observe, how does dysregulation feel in my body? Can you be aware of it while it's happening? Even me right now, I just let go of my shoulders and my stomach because I noticed I was all tight, right? That awareness is really big because it takes so much energy to live in a dysregulated state. So when you go about your day and you think, oh my God, I haven't done anything today, but I'm exhausted. Probably because you were in fight or flight all day. Even if you're not conscious of it, your system is in this defensive mode that takes a lot of energy just to exist in fight or flight. Existing in a regulated state is really relaxed. It doesn't take energy. You can just exist. And that's what we're working towards. We're working towards preserving the energy you expend in being in fight or flight and using that to actually get some shit done. Right? We want to preserve your energy and not use it just to exist. We want to use your energy to accomplish, do things, be productive, and enjoy your life. And so that's what we're doing. We're redistributing your energy from a place where it's not very productive and helpful to a place where it's productive and helpful. You're not creating more energy, but it'll feel like you have more energy because just to get through the day takes a lot less when you're in a regulated state. It is draining to be in fight or flight, right? It's like hypervigilant defensiveness constantly, even when you're not aware of it. So please grab your free guide because seeing it on paper, seeing it on your screen can help a lot. So you can get that in the link in my show notes, or you can just go to adhdwithjennafree.com/ADHD guide to get that. I also recommend following along on social media at ADHD with Jenna Free for more of these little tidbits throughout your week. And we will see you again next Monday. If you have been enjoying this podcast, if you are excited about this approach, if you are interested in this to keep going, please rate and review. That helps a lot. 5 stars, please. If you're enjoying it, why not? This is going to get it out there to other ADHDers who may not have this on their radar yet. And I'm so passionate about this work because I know this is the first step in coping well. If you're going straight to the hacks and the tips and the tools and the strategies, again, umbrella in a hurricane, it is not going to help. Let's evacuate you out of the hurricane zone and into safety. And then the umbrella will be helpful. So, thank you so much for being here. I'm so interested to hear how your week goes. Feel free to DM me on social media or send me an email if you want to talk about this stuff or ask questions. I'm always here because I just love this stuff and could talk about it all day. So we'll see you next week and we'll go from there.